I was born deaf with my right ear, yeah, and I discovered that when I was 4, and they were saying it's because during her pregnancy with me, my mom, she took some antibiotics. The last time they took me to hospital, I was 14, and I remember my father crying so hard, that when the doctor said, no, it's not possible, that we cannot do surgery, we can't do anything because it's the nerve, the auditive nerve that is dead, and you just have to accept that it's what it is, As a teenager, after that, I felt quite alone, and I wasn't open to express. And what I felt most of the time was that something was missing, or at least that I couldn't express to the others, on the outside, who I was inside. I behaved like a person who doesn't have half of, who doesn't hear with the right. I would always sit on this side so I could hear. My parents victimizing me all the time, oh, she don't hear, she's not hearing well, and all this stuff. I saw the movie first, What the Blue Do You Know? And I was just amazed, I was like, yes. And I found Dr. Joe's book. I read it in a very short time. But every single thing came really, really deep, And what was, for me, was really, really important that all those stories, and especially Dr. Joe's story about the healing, that was for me like, I was sitting there with a book and I was like, if this man can heal his spine, and all the healing he did, or the other stories, what if they are wrong? What if my auditive nerve is not so dead? And what if I could just wake it up? I was thinking like, how would it be to hear? And I was kind of touching my left ear and touching this and imagining that I could, somehow that I could hear. And I just stood there. It was nothing, very innocent thing, I didn't think of anything. I just stood there and I felt this warmth in my ear, and that was it. But then 2 weeks later, I did nothing else. So 2 weeks later, I remember even the date. It was 5th of June, 2008. And my daughter was a small baby. And she was asleep, so I put her down. And I put my headphones to listen to a video, And I had this strange feeling because, when you are born with this deafness, it's just, you are not used to, you are totally used to use one side of your hearing, So I just had this thing, I didn't even realize what it was, but it was not normal. So I was like, what is this, And then when I put it like this, and I heard, I had vibes, like really sound in my right ear, And I was like, how this is possible? It can't be, And I was so excited, And I put it again, and then I called my mom, And I was crying of excitement. And I just started to behave differently. Like I wouldn't sit only on this side. I wouldn't I wouldn't ever say it again that, oh, I don't hear, tell me here, So I just stopped that. Well, I was going through a major crisis in my personal life last year. And of course I went back to Dr. Joe's work. I went to another progressive workshop. And that was really huge for me. What I experienced was that I was in this field of love, total love, and my senses just my hearing went really, really, really big, like, and I could hear perfectly, like perfect with both my ears, you know. And I felt this so much compassion for myself, you know. But then I entered in a state like where I could be my unlimited self and just look down and I could see my limited self. And I was both, and I was where I chose to. But when I saw that limited self, I felt so vulnerable. It was like being naked in the middle of the street, you know, in a place where there is nothing to hide. And my meditation was like, you could have this, but you choose this. And it was a place of total unworthiness, and it's what we just learned. The one phrase that I got from this workshop is, you get from the universe what you feel worthy of. And my ego was like, what is Dr. Joe doing? Analyzing his work. This is not fair. I don't like his workshops anymore. I don't want to go anymore. I want to go home. I miss my kids. So, but I was also from a place of observing that. And when he's saying, you know, that it was an opportunity for me to observe that. So, and I just stood there and observed it, and I let that talk to me, you know, and tell me all these things. And the next morning I had headache, and it was like, stay in bed, don't go to the workshop. It was the last day. And I said no. I took my shower and I went to the workshop, and still was very, very difficult because I was there, I couldn't meditate. My body took me into such resistance that, you know, it's the fight or flight. And I say, I'm gonna kill Dr. Joe. And then I wanted to run home and get out of here. And I was crying and I couldn't meditate, and I will never go back and I will never do this again, you know. I felt I was transformed in a very, very profound way. And I just remember, this is very funny, because one morning when I woke up and I couldn't recognize my husband, I just looked at him and I said, wow, who's this nice guy sleeping next to me? So it was really incredible because I felt the new me, you know, and I could meet everybody from a totally new place, and I felt the joy in me. I felt such a joy, and I was totally in love with life, you know, and with the process and with myself, and I didn't really care about hearing, not hearing, about anything. So one day, you know, just my mom calls and I say, well, I'm gonna try, and I took the phone and I spoke to her from my right side for 45 minutes, and I didn't tell her anything. So I told her at the end, I said, Mom, you know what, we've been talking, and we've been talking from my right side all the time. And she was so happy, both my parents actually. And then I said, I need to share this, because one of my resistance during that last day in Athens was, you are not important, your story doesn't matter, don't share it, you know. And it was all the time, it kept coming to me, you know, this unworthiness thing, that I don't have to share my story, I don't have to go there and express the truth. And I say, well, I think that's part of something that I actually have to do. And I remember I was shaking when I wrote that testimonial, but I say, I have to do it, because it's exactly it's part of my healing, and that I need to go out there and speak my truth, you know. So I go out, I dance now a lot, and I'm just so happy to hear everything, and it has to do with listening to myself and to to shut out the noise from the world, a little bit, and listen more to who I really am. When I'm in kindness and compassion and I feel my heart open, I have higher vibrations, like I hear much better. So I know what's the work to do. Is to enhance the sound of my unlimited self more than the limited, and to keep this joy and this love for the process, because it's teaching me so much. I had a check after November last year, and they saw that it's improving. I say, you know what, I can hear now a little, it's coming back, and I have these vibrations and sounds, and so they check my ear, and they look at me like, that's not possible, and I say, why not? He say, yeah, but maybe your nerve was not dead, and maybe it's psychologically, and maybe you just open your perceptions. And I said, that's what I did, exactly, but my hearing is coming back, and they still keep telling me that's impossible, but I don't care. I prove them wrong, I don't really care what they say. That's not for them, it's for me.